Hi, my name is Kenzo. This is Love Life Drawing. Welcome back to Figuary. We're on day 27. We're so close to completing this challenge. And today is kind of like the last tough hurdle because there's a couple of moving poses again in the session. I actually think that today's moving poses are a little bit easier than yesterday's one. The movement's not symmetrical, which I think actually makes it a little bit more interesting. But also the poses themselves at each end of the motion have a little bit more of gestural interest in them. There's a little bit more movement in those poses. They're a little bit more fun to draw, I think. So I think that today is going to be a little bit easier than yesterday. And Meiko, who did the demos for today, said that she found this one a lot easier, but also she learned a lot from what she did yesterday. So we're going to look at the specifics of this pose at each end in a second. But just to reiterate, what you can do is draw each end of the pose or just one end of it. I think that in this case, it would be good to draw both ends of the pose. Maybe play it through a couple of times to give yourself time. But because it's, an interesting movement from one pose to another, it's quite cool to draw both ends, and I think that's a good exercise, and that's what Meiko did. She used the chair as a kind of anchor point. That's the thing that's staying still, so she can kind of compare and measure against the chair for both poses. As we were talking about yesterday, rather than just waiting for the model to get into the pose you're drawing, try and observe and understand the figure throughout the motion. Get that 3D understanding of the forms that you're looking at, and then use that to inform your drawing. And if you do decide to play it through a couple of times, just make sure that you're not, building up too much complexity and, detail. Let's try and really keep it spontaneous. So let's take a look at the pose at each end of the motion. So on the left-hand side of it, she's raising up the box. We still want to break down the pose into quite simple big curves and straight lines, like C curves and S curves and straight lines. So we know, we've been thinking about this throughout Figuary. When you look at a leg from the side, down the front of it, you can often find a nice big S-shaped curve. And I think we can see those in both of the legs here. And then obviously we're interested in how the rib cage plays off against the pelvis in the torso. And here the rib cage is kind of tilted back and the pelvis is tilted the other way. So that's something that we can capture in our drawing, and we don't need too much more information in the drawing. Keep it nice and simple. And then on the right hand side of the motion of the pose, when she's kind of got the box down on the chair, we don't have that kind of rib cage playing off against the pelvis quite in the same way. Instead, we kind of have a big curve down the back and then a little bit more complexity on the front. But we can still find a big kind of egg shape for the pelvis, and then another maybe kind of boxy or oval shape for the pelvis, just keeping it simple just to quickly map out the pose. And because she's moving, using some kind of simplified big shapes and maybe a stickman shape just to start to build the pose is going to be extra useful, and that's what Meiko did here. I actually really like what my mum Meiko came up with for this drawing. It's a really tough challenge. I can't wait to see what you guys do with this one and the other moving pose. We have just another couple of days left in Figuary, and I'm really going to miss it. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Every day I get to see so many of your drawings, and it's just so fun and so cool. But we are going to go straight into our course. So that's also super fun and super interesting as well. So enrollment will open the day after Figuary, and it will be open for a week. And then the lessons and stuff will start. And it will be very active in the program's community. And we'll have a lot of fun looking through everyone's drawings there as well. But I really hope that you guys enjoy this session. I'll see you guys back here for the final feedback video, looking through lots of drawings with clothing and with moving poses. So I really can't wait for that. See you guys tomorrow.